Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are approaching in on this third round in this tournament, and it looks like we will be watching this game between Qumfy 2014 versus Cascade. So both of these are new runners in this tournament. The only ones that are left in the tournament are, we actually do have quite a few veterans, but there's actually quite a few new people. So right now we have the games that will be going on while we are watching this. Actually, we're jumping right into Champion Select, so we'll come back to that in a few minutes. Let's get into this Champion Select.
Yep. So Qumfy 2014 starts with an Evelyn ban. That's not that surprising. She's still considered one of the premier junglers. She's seen a bunch of tweaks in Nurse.
Twitch ban going out very quickly there. I guess they just don't want to deal with that hyper carry. So
yeah, the hyper carry, also the stealth. We've seen 2 stealth bans, and that's something that's not just a bad thing to ban, because normal wards, the free wards you get off your trinkets, they don't see them. You know, they don't protect against Twitches and Evelyns anywhere close to as well as they protect against conventional champions.
And Jack's very solid champion right now. Just all around, he's great at initiating, great at damage dealing. They just go for the quick bans, Syndra and Braum. So Syndra, she has high burst potential, and she has a very strong ability to actually control the battlefield once she gets a little bit more into her push. Yeah. And Braum is just a monster right now. We spent like 20 minutes on why he's a monster, but he is a monster right now.
He's very powerful. He's probably overtuned. We'll see some numbers reductions on him probably in the next patch. Maybe not, but soon. I can't imagine he'll stay like he is on live. But Syndra's a surprising ban. She's good, but she doesn't have any escapes. She doesn't have built-in mobility. And her damage is good, but it's a little bit more single target damage than you'd like. The best thing she has going for her is that long range stun.
Yeah, she does have massive AoE stuns with that.
I mean, it's in a narrow corridor, so they really have to be clumped up to hit that AoE stun. Yep. But but if you can stun like 3 people with her stun, it's a great initiation tool. She has good burst.
So Kha'Zix was that final ban. He is just a very strong jungler right now. He can help do very strong damage to single targets, maintain those key objectives, and then his gank ability is very strong just because he does have that slow with his passive, the stealth feature, and also his leap. His leap is definitely one of his strongest.
We saw him being played to great effect in there too. He's just he's a very slippery assassin right now. Very powerful, single target damage, good mobility, and kind of great defense and ability to slip in and slip out with his stealths.
So Qumfy decides to go with the quick Lee Sin pick. He is one of the jungle kings right now just because he has high mobility, consistent damage, and the ability to initiate team fights with not only his Q, but his ultimate. He can do all sorts of tricks. He is just a very versatile jungler. Meanwhile, the purple team here, which I'm just reminding myself, Cascade is that team. Cascade, they decided to go with Lucian for their AD carry, it looks like, and Vi for their jungler.
Yeah, both very, very strong, solid picks. Vi has great initiation ability, good defense, good damage. Lucian's just considered like the all-around, like, solidest AD. Riot's already mentioned that he's just good at everything right now. He's not the best at anything maybe, but he's just very, very good at everything. So they're going to be taking a look and trying to put him into more of a niche instead of just I'm really solid. On the blue team, we're back to Thresh and Kate. This is a very, very classic lane.
Yep.
Strong support, very good defensive AD carry. She's very good against Lucian just because her range is much better than his, so she can actually poke him down a fair bit.
Yep, and you've got the synergy with the hooks and traps. You do have some workarounds with those too, and we didn't really mention it too much with Vi. She is very strong just because she has strong initiation. She has very strong dueling potential with her denting blows, and she has high mobility with her Q and her ultimate. So she can be very devastating to a team when she is played correctly. But she is a very strong ganker and a very strong duelist.
Yeah, and she fell out a little bit with the advent of Feral Flare because there was a lot of champs that did what Vi did, but kind of better and just worked a little bit better with Feral Flare. She was actually fine with Feral Flare, but now that Feral Flare's gotten nerfed and we're pretty much the pro scene didn't particularly rotate to Feral Flare junglers with much success anyways, but now that item's gotten nerfed significantly, she's back at the top of really solid junglers.
Looks like Morgana has been locked in as the support, and Shyvana is locked in as top lane, which is usually you see her as a jungler more often, just because she has very strong ganking and she has high mobility. But I could definitely see her being a potent top pick, especially versus we don't know yet.
Yeah, they're probably trolling with Teemo, but Teemo wins all the lanes, and everyone hates him. And then like you need to just control the objectives with mushrooms. The mushrooms got nerfed a couple patches back, so. Shyvana's actually been like one of the most contested, especially in Korea, one of the most contested top picks. And it's just because her kit's very powerful. She has great mobility with her movement speed buff, and then her ult is a massive dash. Her sustained damage is insane. She doesn't have mana, so she doesn't have to worry about any of those items. And she gets an insane amount of free stats from Dragon Form. So that's just very, very powerful.
And it looks like we did see a Trundle counter pick because of it. So we are going to see her trying to initiate with those Dragon Forms, most likely, and he's going to just sap it all away if given the chance. So, and kind of curious, we do have that Lulu. It looks like she is going for
Lulu mid.
Yep, I'm guessing we're going to see a swap here because I doubt we're going to see Thresh in a solo lane with teleport.
Yeah, this is a trade. Fire Hazard is going to trade with.
For sure. Okay, so we do have a Soraka as support, and it looks like a Morgana.
Nope. Morgana support. It's going to be a Soraka mid. Yeah, Soraka mid. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes mids took barriers.
Yeah.
Before heal got buffed, and heal is just a better barrier at this point.
Okay.
At max rank,
look at the movement speed.
At max rank, heal is only 40 less health, and it heals another person. So it's actually like 300 more health.
Yeah.
Than barrier is if you're getting full value on both people. It has the move speed buff. It does have a 60-second longer cooldown base than barrier does, but that's not that big of a deal in team fights because generally the 4-minute summoners are up for every team fight late game. So the cooldown isn't that big of a deal. That move speed is huge. That extra healing is huge. On Soraka prior to this patch, heal was almost guaranteed because it stripped Grievous wounds. It stripped the Ignite. So you would pop your summoner heal, and then both of your heals were just full, and it was insane. Because one of the best ways to counter Soraka is your Grievous wounds. So having the ability to just get rid of that, absent Quicksilver Sash. So this game has started. We'll be getting into it in just 3 minutes. We're waiting on the delay.
So looking at the team comps here, we do have that Cascade. They are running kind of like a catchy, sustained team fight sort of comp is what I'm seeing right here. Like Vi and Morgana have very strong catch potential, while Shyvana, Soraka, and Lucian, they're all very good at sustained damage in these long sorts of team fights. So while they might rely a little bit on those catches, they're mainly going for disrupting the team fights with Morgana and Vi, and then just going for the sustained team fights.
Yeah, their sustained team fight is very powerful. Their split push is also very powerful because they have tremendous wave clear in the 4, and Shyvana has great wave clear too, and Shyvana has great dueling potential as long as she doesn't fall significantly behind. So again, we're going to kind of run into this Trundle. Can Trundle beat the top lane? And Trundle has teleport too now. Yep. He did not take Ignite, so he's not going for that early kill, which I think is very good because Trundle really can't kill Shyvana early. She's just going to burn out and walk away. While Shyvana can't really kill Trundle either unless he plays it poorly because he can just bite her and walk away. Frozen Tundra or whatever the name is, the Contaminate. He changed it around.
Domain.
Frozen Domain. He just has all sorts of ways that Shyvana can't stick to him.
As far as their team fights, they're going to be shooting for those Lee Sin Thresh hooks, those sorts of for the initiations, followed by a Lulu ultimate or a nice pillar from
Trundle.
The troll. We were just talking
his
about
filthy pillar. But unless we have Mad Life level, was it Mad Life? He wasn't the Lee Sin. Mad Life was the insane Thresh player. Who was the? I can't remember. The Korean Lee Sin player who could just, from across the map, get behind their AD carry and kick them into your team. Insec. That was it. So unless we see Insec level Lee Sin plays here, we're probably...
Lee Sin is just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you guys have all seen the clips, one where Freak is absolutely freaking out, where he kicks the guy over into the golems and then follows him over just so that they get the kill. Lee Sin, he's just a hoot to watch.
Yeah, tremendous amount of mobility. He got nerfed recently, so he's lost some of his insane. I've dashed 3 times in the last 8 seconds, and I'm going to do it twice more in the next 8 seconds. But yeah, they've nerfed that a little bit, but he's still very strong early game. And yeah, I think we just have a lot of poke out of this team. I think they're going to rely heavily on Caitlyn and Lulu.
Yep.
To just poke down and siege. They have a great siege because both Lee Sin and Thresh are great at catches. Trundle can facilitate catches like none other on towers. Like that mid tower, you put up a pillar there, and you can't actually there's wall, pillar, tower, and you're just like super stuck.
The downside to it though is they do have Morgana Soraka on the other side,
yep.
which are very anti-catches in a way. Because like if somebody gets hit, or it looks like they're going to hit, all they just takes is dropping the Black Shield to stop it.
Yeah, Black Shield and heals.
And but if they do manage to land the hook, then that heal goes down, and with the Black Shield on top of it, like as a retroactive, that will mitigate a ton of damage.
Yep.
So we'll see how it works.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to rely heavily on that kick, and it'll just rely on how much damage can they really put into someone. Can they get through the Soraka burst? And some of it will be, if you have good poke, Soraka's probably going to have to be using her heal to keep people high, and she won't be able to hold it for a catch.
Yeah.
So you'll just go, because Soraka's heal has a 20-second cooldown. So, you have a window, you'll open up your window there where you can get a catch, and especially if that catch is on Soraka. Because with Lulu's Polymorph too, they actually do have a fair amount of lockdown, where they could, they can get like a couple seconds, like Thresh hook into Lulu Polymorph. That's enough time where someone can't cast that they might actually be able to, get a kill before that person dies, especially if it's on like their power defenders like Morgana or Soraka. But yeah, we have teleports. Yeah, we have teleports out of both top laners. Otherwise, the summoners are basically, straightforward across the board. Lulu has Ignite, while their mid laner has Heal. That's like the only thing that's a little bit not mirrored. Not surprising at all, even though it doesn't strip that Grievous Wounds anymore. It's still a very powerful defensive spell.
Yeah, and it looks like this game will be loading here in just a moment. This is going to be between Qumfy 2014 versus Cascade. Qumfy 2014 is that blue team. Cascade is the purple. So, and it looks like we are indeed in. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see the Trundle versus the Shyvana matchup.
Yeah, that's kind of a classic sustainy, difficult. Like neither of them has great built-in stickiness. Neither of their stickiness is bad, but they both basically, neither of them has a real dash. Shyvana has her alt dash, but, it kind of doesn't count because it's just on such a high cooldown. They both have move speed buffs. He's got a pillar. She doesn't have, anything there. But she has her move speed buff, moves her farther away. So it'll be really interesting. I expect it's going to end up being a farm lane.
Oh, I like the way blue team is positioning. I think they are seen.
Yeah, they saw the last person walk into the bush.
I wanted to see some level 1 fights. We're going to throw out the binding there just in case if they realize they're not in there, especially with those double vision that they have going on right now. I really wanted to see a level 1 team fight there.
Yeah, level 1 team fights are really hard right now, simply because...
she found them.
Yep. Simply because of all the... You have 4 free wards. You went from 0 free wards to 4 to 5 free wards.
Yeah.
So now, just seeing these big level 1 fights, which were exciting, but also were kind of ridiculous and weren't actually that great for the health of the long game.
Well, Thresh decided to go with that Doran Shield as one of the major item chain notes out there.
Yeah.
Morgana decided to go with that Spell Thief's Edge. The Doran's Shield is actually pretty strong versus Lucian because it does reduce the damage of that passive and his regular attacks.
Yep.
But he will have that diminished gold returns because Spell Thief's Edge is going to provide a lot of gold for Morgana if she can actually utilize its full effect.
And Morgana is by far the best champion to utilize her full effect because after they increase the amount of times that her puddle ticks, she can throw down a puddle on the enemy and get all 3 charges immediately, basically. Yeah. So it's very, very easy for Morgana to get full value out of that Spell Thief's Edge. It's practically, it takes almost no effort.
Early trades at top lane puts Trundle mildly ahead, but nothing exciting there.
Yeah, and he has better built-in sustain than Shiv does, because they both have Doran's Blade, but he has that passive. Oh,
okay,
wow.
It's definitely much more substantial now. She is brought down to a little bit under a quarter, and that's going to actually force her to start using some of those pots. And she does have the Doran's Blade for the sustain, but I don't think it's going to be able to keep up.
He's not going to let her get into creeps. He's going to bite her every time. He knows that he out-trades her right now.
Yep.
Because she started burnout, which, a lot of shivs do, but until she has 2, unless she has that twin bite, she can't win trades because he's just going to bite her every time. And, the attack damage reduction on that, because her burnout scales with AD as well, so it's actually reducing the damage on her burnout.
So it looks like we are going to see a double gank here, probably at mid, because Purple Team did have that Tri-Bush
Yeah,
warded.
Lucian's coming around behind Soraka. We'll see how this works. She sees it coming.
She sees it coming. Vi is coming around the side, so he does need to be a little bit careful here. I
just
doubt
gonna
they're going to get the
safeguard out.
catch, and there's the safeguard to safety. But yeah, just because it was mid, because the wardage up at top lane was very aggressive there by Shyvana early, because it looked like she was really actually concerned for a quick gank there from Lee Sin.
Yep.
But
yeah, because she was low enough that they could dive really easy. Lee Sin lands a Q and she's dead under tower.
yep, and then he just safeguards out.
Yep.
So
Yep. No risk kill. Let's see. This is going to be interesting. I think Lulu should be fine.
should be fine. Vi goes for it again. Meanwhile, up at top, they're trading. And yeah, Lulu, she's got that shield.
Yep. She was just fine. Didn't even have to flash. Up top, they're trading. Shyvana hasn't gone back yet, but she is very low compared to Trundle, who's almost full. So this is dangerous. Trundle's doing the right thing instead of pushing, just zoning her out.
Yep, and just trying to freeze the lane as much as possible.
Now it's pushing back towards him, so she's going to have a huge problem. It's just going to keep escalating because as long as he keeps it so it's pushing towards him, but not too huge, it's going to get farther and farther away from her tower. And that's exactly what he's doing. Farther and farther away from her tower, but he's not going to take too much creep damage by fighting her. He's taking way too much here. He probably should have backed out, reset the creeps.
Yep, and it looks like he is going to go for the kill. There's
he doesn't
the
have
pillar,
Ignite, so...
does flash, almost gets it, takes a tower hit, and gives up first blood. Rough.
Doesn't have Ignite, and that's the biggest thing. When you don't have Ignite to secure those kills, doing what he did, flashing for that kill,
Lee Sin's coming in on the side. Let's see if he can land. The resonating strike gets it, and flashes actually away from the turret just to make sure he didn't go.
Because he didn't have creeps to safeguard too, and he didn't have a ward either. And there's so many creeps. Look at that creep damage. Yeah. Vi's gonna come in. He's trying to farm this.
We're rotating everyone in. It seems like.
Luckily Trundle showed back up. He teleported back into lane. He bought a Vamp Scepter. Oh, that's really good. She got a Giant's Belt though, so that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
This should be very
bottom lane,
interesting.
some nice trading going on here. Caitlyn actually landing the headshot pilled over Peacemaker there. Misses the hook there on Thresh, but did do enough damage to force Lucian actually way back. And now Caitlyn, since the lane is so pushed, she is actually going to have a pretty strong advantage here, getting quite a few creeps. So.
Yep. And anyways, that top lane, when you don't have Ignite to secure those skills, flashing for it is just really dangerous. You're better off just pushing your advantage. Push them out of lane, continue to get ahead of them and farm, than trying to flash for kills. Because, if you miss it like that, or you're low, you're flashing into creeps, taking a ton of creep damage, you can just lose the entire advantage you've spent your entire laning cultivating by, a bad trade like that. She turns around and twin bites you, and you're dead.
Yeah. So even though he did give up that kill, he's actually way ahead on CS compared to her.
Yep.
So she's actually not ahead very much.
Yeah, she's not ahead very much, but he lost the advantage he
Yes.
had. She would just, if he'd gotten the kill or if he'd forced her out of lane, he'd be way ahead. Now he's getting bullied out of lane.
Yeah, because that burnout man just doing a lot of sustained damage. She is level 6 now, so I wouldn't actually be surprised if we see a dive, because both of their flashes are down, and she does have that dragon form. But keep in mind, properly timed pillars.
She's too low, and she doesn't have any armor. That tower will shred her.
Yep, he did burn his ultimate there to just
to trade better. Yep.
And,
wow,
that's a beautiful pillar, and it might be enough to give him the kill here. She actually dragon forms out.
Just gonna force the dragon form out. But that's very powerful too. At this level, it doesn't come up that quickly, so he'll have a solid 60 to 80 seconds where he can really bully her, knowing she doesn't have that escape and knowing that she doesn't have flash backup.
Meanwhile, at bottom lane, Lucian is trying to keep up here as much as possible, and it looks like Lee Sin's actually playing very aggressive. Does get silenced there by Soraka, but it looks like he is going to be fine. And actually, Soraka forced a flash over the wall there from the resonating strike into the Pixie. So.
Yeah, and good flash. It would have been way too dangerous for him to follow up. He did have the opportunity. Oh wow, this is powerful. I don't know if they know that it's not warded or not, but it isn't warded. So they're going to have it dead before Blue can do anything about this.
But they are going to be put in a little bit of a risky position if they can line up the skill shots, but it looks like Lee Sin just barely missing that resonating strike. Not quite enough, and Purple Team manages to get a free dragon.
Yep, free dragon. Borg doesn't hit the bind to get a a good initiate on Blue Team. They might not have gone in anyways. So.
And the gold is dead even right now. 1-1.
This is surprising. Trundle's going back. His teleport isn't up yet. Vi goes over the wall. Wow, this is really deep by Blue Team.
Very deep from Blue Team. They are actually behind the turrets, taking quite a bit of damage. And the Blue Team, they didn't quite get the kill, but they are managed to get a nice little catch here on Morgana and Lucian. We'll see if they can get the kill. There's the Lulu ultimate flash from Lucian, and down goes Morgana. Vi comes in a little bit late, and now I think she's going to die.
She has to flash out, dies anyway.
But gets flayed back into the fight and goes down. So Blue Team managing to get a nice catch there because Purple Team just overcommitting too many of their resources a little bit too late in the fight.
Looks like Trundle ulted Shiv again, but she has her ult, so she doesn't even have to ult out. She can just walk away.
Yeah, that burnout provides just enough movement speed. Meanwhile, at bottom lane, Blue Team is still pushing out and got that bottom turret. And they're still pushing. So gold advantage is
I expect they're going to go back because they're going to run into a lane where they haven't bought yet. However, Kate has that BF sword where Lucian bought double Dorns and a Vamp Scepter. So he is actually still way behind in trading ability.
Yeah. And Lulu, she does have that Tear of the Goddess, so she is starting to build stacks, most likely going for that Archangels, unless she's going for some crazy weird build. But most likely Archangels into Seraphs. So, Soraka, she loves the Fiends and Holy Grail.
Yep. This is kind of interesting, too. Lulu, against a heavy magic damage mid, you almost always build Chalice for the mana. Lulu built Tear. So we'll see how this works out. She's obviously Lulu's ahead in farm, but only slightly.
Yeah.
Seems to be having some mana issues. But kind of a weird build because, the Tear versus Chalice, Tear is better late.
Yeah,
Tear's Unholy Grail is fine. It gives you a lot of CDR, but the shield, when on a fully stacked Seraph's Embrace, is insane.
What I'm guessing she's going for is, since they do have a substantial amount of healing with Soraka, I'm guessing she's going to go for the Morellonomicon and the Tear. So that's my guess.
That makes sense, and she's already got the 2 pieces for Morellonomicon. She's almost there, so that makes a lot of sense. Morellonomicon's a very solid item for mids anyways, instead of the Chalice.
Yeah, so it doesn't provide the massive amount of mana regen, but it does provide the cooldown reduction, and those grievous wounds are hugely important versus high heal teams with like Soraka and Morgana, because they both have pretty substantial healing.
Yeah, the biggest problem with that, though, is that Morellonomicon requires the enemy to be pretty low. Yeah. So you can play around it pretty easily just by using your heals preemptively. Like, Morellonomicon wouldn't shred the heal on Lucian right now is at like 70%. So you can just heal him first. Morellonomicon doesn't give you the grievous wounds, and then if he gets low, if he gets down to 50% again, you just, you wish. So you can play around it. Yeah, but it does have a pretty solid effect. Lots of trades going on up top. They're trading pretty even, actually, although Trundle has better sustained than
And meanwhile, at mid, Blue Team is sieging the crap out of this mid turret here, and Purple Team, they are holding it off, and Lucian is rotating in, so they should be able to hold off this push for now, but they are putting on a lot of pressure there, dropping all sorts of wards to make sure that no one's sneaking around behind.
Yep. And unfortunately, Shiv builds Ninja Tabi, which is a good buy. Very good against Trundle because all of his damage is basically auto attack damage. But she doesn't have any lane sustain, so he's just out sustaining her.
And a defensive ultimate's there from Forth the Thresh, trying to keep him alive. He did get caught out by a Morgue Binding, but Blue Team, since they managed to force them to commit, they did manage to pick off Soraka, and they haven't given up a kill yet, but everybody is very low.
But they got the tower, they didn't give up a kill. Purple Team went a little deep. Their ability to follow Vi that deep was not good enough. So she just kind of ulted into the enemy team and didn't have any follow-up.
And Trundle burned the ultimate once again there on Shyvana, trying to pick up that kill, and it's going enough to force her out of lane. But I would like to see her actually rotate down to mid and dragon form, because right now
she's too low to rotate.
I know, but she does have her teleport back up here right now, which means she could do some crazy shenanigans at mid lane. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's too late.
at this point.
Yeah. Because they were so low there where I wanted her to just rotate down and dragon form in because it probably would have been enough for to ensure some kills there for purple.
Yep.
Blue team is still pushing out here up at top. Trundle being extremely aggressive, but Shyvana is back. She did buy some items too, so she is probably going to be able to bully him out of lane now. Morella Namicon finished for Lulu, so she will have a lot of that anti-healing benefits that it is well known for, and more importantly, Caitlyn, she does have that Bloodthirsters completed, while Lucian still doesn't have his BF sword.
Yep, that's very, very powerful. He should be pretty close, although he's been buying pots, which sets him a little bit, a pot is about 2 creeps. So, that sets him a little bit behind, he has basically 4 creeps in his inventory.
And the junglers are pretty even as well, but there is a Sightstone is one of the more powerful things. Is Lee Sin does have that Sightstone, so he has that ability to drop wards, so he'll have a little bit more mobility with the ability to safeguard more frequently, but it's the vision that is also extremely important with that safeguard.
And Dragon is back up, so we're seeing the Dragon dance.
Oh, nice!
He's gonna go in. Good Morg shield though. Stops Vi from getting played after that. Wow, Lee goes hard
and gets Lucian, and that's gonna be enough to ensure this Dragon. His purple team are just like, nope, we can't commit to this fight anymore. You might be able to poke a little bit here, but without Lucian, you don't really have a good long range focus. Morgana, all she can really do is the QW combo. So,
yeah, and Blue picks it up, giving themselves almost a 5,000 gold lead.
And Trundle is still winning out on these trades up at top lane, just abusing his massive sustain since Shyvana decided not to really go too much sustain. She's going more tanky.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about. We got, there's a big fight that went on mid, but she bought Ninja Tabi and that Giant's Belt, so she doesn't even have a Vamp Scepter yet. So she just cannot out-sustain Trundle.
Oh man, a big hook there once again on Soraka, and that's going to be enough to force Vi to do kind of like a preemptive sideways engage just to try and relieve some pressure, because if she didn't have that pressure on, Soraka just would have gotten queued there by Lee Sin, because he had the resonating strike, he just didn't want to overcommit.
Yeah, Trundle burns the flash out of Shyvana, but she still has her ult. I'm a little bit surprised about her using her flash before her ult. I feel like the ult would be better for pushing Trundle, making him take more tower hits, and it's a lower cooldown.
And
much lower cooldown.
Blue team's rotating up. Looks like they're going to start putting the pressure here on this top turret, and that's going to be the last tier 3 turret, or outer turret here for this purple team. And that brings the gold advantage to just over 6k in blue team's favor, which is pretty substantial, especially when a lot of it's actually on some pretty important targets. Like, you got your mid with the kill, Caitlyn with the kill, big fight breaking out here, help at this top lane.
Purple's trying to make stuff happen, but they're really too low to do anything.
So Raka burns the wish, and it might be enough to save some people. Morgana gets brought incredibly low, but purple team should be able to get out relatively unscathed.
It's a max range bind, but not going to be able to follow it up.
And purple team manages to mitigate and not allow blue team to push out too hard, but purple team is going to be okay for now. So it looks like they are going to head back and buy some items here, and we'll see what they all pick up. We got a Blade of the Rune King here for the Trundle. Absolutely, I think that's a good pick for him. It gives him that stick ability that he needs to. Sticks on those targets, the sustain damage, also the sustain in general. Just gives him a lot of deceptive tankiness as well with that active effect.
Yeah, it's a very strong item. He needs the stickiness. It's great great sustain and long-term damage. Biggest problem is it doesn't help his wave clear.
Yeah.
Hydra is very, very good if you're going to be split pushing and wave clear, and it gives you good sustain too. But it doesn't give you the stickiness of that active, as well as that additional healing.
And Shyvana looks like she's just going for raw tankiness AoE sustain. Looks like she is going to be going for that Sunfire as her first major item, which means she's going to do very well in this first major team fight when it comes to sustained damage, because with Burnout and...
if she can stay in there. It could also be Randuin's, but I think it is Sunfire. Just because, like, Randuin's now builds out of Chain Vest and Giant's Belt. But I agree with you that I think it is most likely Sunfire, so she has some damage, because otherwise you can just ignore her.
She's actually running Hybrid Pen right now. I was curious about that.
Most people do. Like, on Shyvana, I think it's basically essential. Most casters are running Hybrid Pen, because you only lose, like, 1.5 Magic Pen or some some
And the armor pen
almost
is huge.
inconsequential number, and the amount of damage you get on your auto attacks is just good enough. I don't know why she was trying to trade.
Yeah, she doesn't have the sustain
Yeah,
for this.
she's gonna have to ult out, but she's waiting as long. No, she might. Yep, doesn't have to ult out.
Burnout manages to give her enough distance. Blue team rotating down towards bottom lane, clearing that out. Meanwhile, purple team realizes that this is happening. Blue team, it looks like they're just doing a very good job of putting pressure on all the right places. And I think there's a song about that, by the way.
Yeah, but unfortunately, oh wow.
Oh man, their catch out there from Lee Sin.
But Lee's a little bit low. This might actually turn out okay for purple.
And Caitlyn gets caught out because of it, and blue team manages to disengage actually fairly well from that. Ace in the hole goes down, bringing all of purple team very low. Trundle, meanwhile, is still split pushing up at top lane, and blue team is still pushing out. Lee Sin getting a little bit of life regen back from where did all that? Oh, where did he get all that healing?
Who, Lee Sin?
Yeah, because he doesn't have any lifesteal items. Safeguard? Only? Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, Lee Sin's just dancing around the jungle trying to heal up a little bit. Meanwhile,
I mean, you lifesteal off of the blue jungle item as well.
oh yeah.
Spirit of the Elder Lizard gets lifesteal again.
I always forget about those.
Yeah, it's very important.
I know it is. I forget.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like blue team has massive command over this game. Trundle is beating Shyvana in the split push top 1v1, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah,
although he's probably going to have to get some magic.
She did Dragon Form, but now she is done.
Although if he stays around, Lucian,
he might. Lucian does have that Bloodthirster down, but if
he doesn't have the stickiness to stay on.
Yeah. And it looks like she did decide to actually swap.
Although Trundle's still staying, Vi has the stickiness to stay on this guy.
And there's the pillar. Actually burns it a little early, in my opinion.
Yeah,
might be enough.
Didn't get to interrupt the.
Might be enough. Lucian's still
no
pursuing, but it looks like Trundle is going to head back.
Yeah, she didn't have the ult. If she had the ult, it was probably a kill.
And Shyvana looks like she did change her mind and decided to go with Randu and Zelda. So
yeah. But Trundle, because you can bump Vi, if you bump her with it, it interrupts it so she doesn't get to Vault Breaker at all. But he didn't get that. Yeah, they're just pushing down mid.
Gets the inhibitor very easily, and they just back out. So very good job of keeping their eye on targets, maintaining that map awareness, seeing when members overcommit to a fight, and it looks like they're just abusing Trundle right now, because like Trundle, he has been participating in these team fights, but his sheer presence at top lane is forcing purple team to overcommit. Big engage here just outside mid lane. Purple team gets up a kill in a matter of seconds here on Vi, picks up Shyvana as well, and that's going to bring down two people, bringing this into a 4v3 at mid lane. Meanwhile, at top, Trundle looks like he is going to try to rotate back down, and there's the surrender. Blue team, the Qumfy 2014 picks up the kill. Instead of sheer dominance across the board.
Yep, and I was about to say, that was actually the best person those kills could be on for purple team if they wanted to keep playing, because Lee Sin doesn't scale that well with gold.
Yeah.
He does not scale well late, because none of his abilities, he relies on mobility to be tanky. And all of his items and everything, like, they don't scale like insanely well like a Shyvana or Aurelia or a Trundle do. So he falls way behind. And that's a pretty serious issue. So him getting more of the kills means all the gold's concentrated on someone that doesn't scale very well. So if they held out for another 10 minutes or so, it's very possible Lee becomes irrelevant or mostly irrelevant. And they're big fatties like Soraka and Shyvana just get overpowered, because Trundle's an issue, but he relies on sustained damage, and Soraka has like the best sustained team fight of any single champ in the game. Not only on her heals, but her magic damage and her magic damage shred. It doesn't matter how much MR you make; she's going to strip it all off of you with her Q if you're fighting her long enough. So
that was one of the games in this round 3 of this tournament, and it looks like Qumfy 2014 did come out ahead. Another one of the games that did finish up just now was Team Electric versus the Big Booty Bandits, and Team Electric actually came out ahead.
Yeah,
so,
they took down those Big Booty Bandits.
Yeah, the last game that we did watch was the Big Booty Bandits, and they were actually fairly dominant in their game.
Yep.
Like, I think it was a pretty absurd kill ratio going on there, and Team Electric actually took them down. Well, it'll be interesting to see how they are in the finals, because Big Booty Bandits, they're veterans. We have seen them try and raid all sorts of other teams in this.
So in any case, there's a couple matches still going on. So we're we're not going to be able to move on to the next round just yet because of the way the brackets are. Can't even start one of the quarterfinal games yet, or the semifinals rather. Excuse me, those were the quarters. But it will be Team Electric versus the winner of Xanarch and Apes versus Dance Party Teama. So whoever wins in the Xanarch versus Dance Party, that they'll go on to face Team Electric. And then Qumfy, the people we just saw win their game, will face the winner of Attack on Children versus Rated.
And those are actually another two of our veteran teams. So we're going to see one of our veteran teams get knocked out here for sure. And we'll see if Xanarch and Apes can compete with the Dance Party Teama. We have seen them before. I think they have placed nearly every time that they've been in the tournaments. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on that.
As far as I remember, they've done very well in all of the Warrior Esports tournaments.
And Attack on Children actually were the winner of our tournament. Not the last one, I think, but I think 2 rounds ago. I believe they were the winners of our tournament. So, and Redida, I think, also was a high-placing one in our previous tournament.
So, if you're just tuning in and you haven't done it yet, please go down and click that follow button on Twitch. Helps us out tremendously. Allows us to keep keep providing these tournaments for you guys, or allow you to keep watching. And it just really helps us. Doesn't cost you anything. Also, fantasyesports.com. Check out the Warrior Sports Fan League. We're putting that together as well. The LCS Riot's putting it together for the the North American LCS and other LCSs, kind of a fantasy league like fantasy football or anything like that. But it's go find it on Fantasy Esports. It should be linked in chat. Otherwise, you could just search for Warrior Esports on fantasyesports.com. Check those things out. It helps us out. Should be a lot of fun, really exciting, and really gets you involved with the the Warrior Esports community that we're trying to grow and put together here.
So yeah.
We're gonna go to a break for just a couple minutes, and then we'll be back with one of your semifinal matches.
So yeah, we'll see you on the other side, guys. Thanks again.